I just wanted to really point out how Ukraine actually bombed this residential area in the Donetsk region. And it actually has been doing that for days. And this past weekend was when it happened. And there were reports, videos all over Telegram, just showing the demise of that. And the Western media has been largely silent. If this was the other way around, if let's say Russia bombed a residential area like it's been accused of doing numerous times, you would see it plastered on every mainstream media. You would see people talking about it. But that's not, that's not what happens when it's the other way around. And by the way, every single time they've accused Russia of doing it, it's been either Ukraine or it's been a military area that they've gone after, not any sort of school or theater. Like all of that has been debunked in the last recent months, which is why the West is losing its grip on the story of Ukraine being the victims. So this Ukrainian shelling killed 5 people in the DPR region. And basically, it was this residential area that was bombed by the Ukrainian army. And it's reported, but not confirmed, that they used American weapons to do this, which is why it's just another big deal as well.
Yeah.
Sam, did you read the second, not sure, the title, Oz, but the next article, the next?
Yeah. 5 people have been killed by Ukrainian shelling of areas in the Donetsk People's Republic. The latter's territorial defense claimed on Saturday, adding that 12 more have been injured. Among the victims were emergency workers who came out to put out the fires caused by the initial strikes, but then came under new fire themselves, resulting in 2 dead and 3 injured. A statement outlined Ukrainian armed formations continue to shell the Voronezh district of Donetsk. Throughout the day, about 50 shells of 155 millimeter caliber targeting the city center were fired from positions of Ukrainian militants and Avdiivka, the DPR insisted. The local capital.
Yes.
I'm sorry. You want me to keep reading?
No. Yeah, go ahead.
The local capital, Donetsk, has seen intense heavy shelling recently. According to its mayor, Alexei Kulmazin, a university building and nearby residential buildings were damaged in the strikes. Also on Saturday, the territorial defense stated that 5 people were injured in the town of Komsomolskoye. I'm glad you're doing this to me. In the southeast of the DPR, after Ukrainian Tochka-U ballistic missiles apparently targeting the town were intercepted by local militias. The strike came a day after Ukrainian forces shelled a hospital in the city of Donetsk, damaging a gas pipeline that goes through the grounds of the hospital. Also,
okay, so
you don't want me to read the last one?
Yeah. Just real quick, I just want to say, you can keep it on the screen. I was just going to say, remember the hospital that Russia was accused of bombing. But Ukraine, of course, does it, and nobody says anything. And I'll just read this last part. 77 miners were stuck underground after the shelling left. After the shelling left the local mine without power, the territorial defense announced this on Saturday, and Vladimir Putin described the strikes on the residential area of Donetsk as a crime against humanity. So guys, so this is again the shelling of these residential areas specifically by Ukraine signifies that they can do this and really get away with it with little to no media attention. While when Russia does something to get rid of the weapons or when it's like what the Nazis have been doing is taking over schools, taking over hospitals to hide their weapons and just putting people as human shields, then it's looked on as, oh, look, Russia is trying to kill poor innocent Ukrainians. In spite of the evacuations that they form, they try to get people out as much as possible. And so you see this narrative, just like the way it's been formed and the way, again, this is the first time Ukraine has been killing people in this region for a long time, for 8 years. So this is nothing new. The Donbass region in general is the only region that it's easier to access for journalists to access. This is why Eva Bartlett has been able to go and others have been able to go. And so it's important to point this out because it's just, again, just showing the hypocrisy of the Western media, of the United States, of anybody that wants to follow this in a way that is fair, that is unbiased, right? Because it doesn't matter where you fall on this. The fact is Ukraine is bombing a residential area, and it's being put out as not like nobody's talking about it. I don't know if even independent media is largely talking about it. So
I don't know either. I mean, it's been happening since 2014. The next one was Patrick Lancaster. You know, did you read that one, fam? You want me to read that?
No, I didn't read it.
This is a sad day in Donetsk. Ukraine fired over 400 shells on the streets of Donetsk. I came across people digging through debris to find their friends' bodies after Ukraine shelled a market. I joined the search. We only found one of the 3 friends. I pray the other 2 made it out alive. This is something that's been going on since 2014 over there. I mean, it hasn't stopped, and it's disgusting. Almost immediately, you know, I think within 2015, after the situation happened in Odessa, everything just kind of, you know, focused around Donetsk. Major bombing happened. We used to show the airport. And it's sad because it's the same thing. Remember the whole thing we talked about, how people had to eat pickled vegetables in the basement because they were living in their basement cellar almost every day? I mean, now it's starting again. They pushed them out of these areas, and here they start shelling these areas, these local residential areas. It is sad.
Yeah, and the thing is, though, in spite of this, obviously, Russia has the upper hand on this conflict. They have been regaining territories and quote unquote liberating them from the Azov battalion, the more paramilitary fascist areas that were interview after interview. If you go on Telegram and you follow a lot of these channels that show interviews of these people saying, "Hey, we were captives of the Azov battalion. We couldn't leave. They would shoot people if they tried to leave." And then the ex-military from the Ukrainian army themselves saying how they were mistreated and they were forced to be violent with other people. They were given drugs. You see all of this happening. And, you know, in spite of their attempts to continue to bomb Donetsk and to bomb people in the Donbass region, Russia still has the upper hand. And today, I believe, who was it? Was it the foreign minister or the Russian spokesperson said that this is going to be a long conflict and that Russia will never trust the United States again in terms of them, you know, going back on their word via NATO expansion and all of that. They're never going to trust the West in particular is what they said. Yeah. And their claims. So they're not going to let up, you know, and the West is willing to fight to the last Ukrainian. And as you can see, you know, innocent people are dying on both ends of the spectrum because of this conflict. And the next video that we're going to show is just the bombing of the moment this happened, and you guys will be able to see it on the screen. And I didn't put this on there. I think I forgot or something, but there's a video of Patrick Lancaster filming, and as he's filming, they're being bombed right outside, and they had to like evacuate and go into this area. And you can see that. I mean, these are the things that are happening that people don't get to see, but these journalists on the ground have been reporting him, other people that are RT correspondents that are actually in the region that have been covering this constantly. It's there if people want to see it. You know, it's there. It's been reported on. And this video I wanted to play just to kind of reiterate the point of how people have suffered under these attacks by the Ukrainian army. And this is a translated video, and I think the sources should be in the video itself. But you guys can look at what this person is saying and what they've experienced and lived through.
Только меня ставите. У нас летело так, что просто ужас, я вам скажу честно. И здесь было вот именно за Стайром стреляют так, где нету ни военных, никого нету. Я не знаю, что там и горело. Наверное, у людей дома горели вчера вечером. И так уже каждый день. Просто каждый день у нас правит. И у нас вода не идет вообще. Света нету, воды нету. Мы живем уже 2 недели, у нас нету ни грамма воды. Там, может, и привозят когда-то, но под обстрелами люди даже боятся стоять.
Yeah, so I mean, this is nothing new. This is nothing new. You know, what comes out of Western media is entirely different than everything you see by independent media, by these journalists going around and interviewing people, victims of the Ukrainian army, victims of war, essentially. They've interviewed also ex-Ukrainian officers. They've talked to all kinds of people. And meanwhile, of course, we have Zelensky, which Pasta, I think you did add it to the final slide, right?
Yeah. Well, there's
so
there's 2 things that we have, fam. Your tweet, and then I added something in the video. So yeah.
Okay, great. So basically, Zelensky is banning anything culturally Russian. He's banning the books, music from Ukraine. And I said, this isn't fascistic at all. Banning everything culturally Russian, affecting nearly a third of their population, because about 30-something% of people are ethnically Russian and speak Russian, and you know that they're in support of Russia. While, of course, the United States and others are funding their paramilitary Nazis that control their government, they control the military, and essentially, in some ways, whether it's NATO and the U.S. and the West controlling the Ukrainian government, there's also these paramilitary fascist factions. So this is ridiculous. If this was 19, you know, if we were right at the brink of World War II, people would be freaking out. If this was like Jews, right, and banning anything culturally Jewish by a military infested with fascists, the left, the liberal left, with all the Ukrainian flags they have, they would freak out. They'd be like, "This is anti-Semitic. This is horrible." But because it's Russians and it's Putin, they don't like. It's totally okay. And so, I'm here in Russia right now. I'm here in Moscow, and I'm not seeing any of the things that the West says about Russia. I'm not seeing them be these evil people. I don't see them being angry. I don't see them being anti-American. I mean, I do think like there is that sentiment of Americans are causing this or doing this, but they've been very nice. They have a lot of culture. They have a lot of theater. They have a lot of ballet. They have beautiful things that have nothing to do with war. Even if you want to go there, they have nothing to do with war. Athletes are being completely just shut down from every sport, including tennis. They've been just ostracized and just vilified in society. And that's not what I'm seeing here, you know, that, there's bombs everywhere and Russia's falling apart and their economy is doing terrible. It's actually quite the opposite. Their economy is improving. It's getting more expensive to live here. There is a lot of food options. There's a lot of life in the streets. People are outside. There is this spirit, I think, in Russia and in Moscow, and there is a sense of unity. And people are very friendly. They're very kind, and they're not. There's no bombing. There's no decadence. I see more of things building up. The hardest thing is the sanctions imposed that make it hard for our credit cards, our bank cards to work here. That's what's been hardest. And that's the United States doing that to me now. me being in Moscow. That's not Russia doing that to me. Russia didn't decide that. That was the United States and the West that have taken their businesses out, that have left. And so that they're doing great in spite of it all. So to paint this picture that we're going to try to crush Putin, and they're not crushing anything but themselves. That's it. Go ahead.
So I just want to kind of piggyback on what you were talking about, the whole banning and everything. And guys, we have like 100 people watching now on YouTube right now. I mean, they are shadow banning and silencing us down as much as they can right now. Now with the move and everything that's going on, we suspected this. We knew this is coming. So please do us a favor, like and share. A lot of people are not getting the notices and whatnot. And it is just kind of crazy. But that's what we can expect, because YouTube is a government entity. We don't understand where Susie Wojcicki is from, who she's aligned with and whatnot. So the other day at the the Federation Council of Russian Federation, during a video bridge at the Sputnik Press Center, there's a gentleman who came up and talked about, he said history textbooks were compiled by the Soros Foundation, were brought to every library in the Ukraine in the early 1990s. This is what we're talking about, that influence, whatnot. Now, remember, Soros and all his cronies were thrown out of China years ago, but here's another place where he had a lot of influence, and that's in the Ukraine. We also knew that in 2012, he started 2 independent news channels, which eventually led to the protesters going crazy on the Maidan. In school manuals, Russia was described as the enemy, and the Bandera and Shukalevich were exposed as national heroes of the Ukraine, said Senator Kozachev. It was a sabotage carried out with the highest efficiency, with a devastating effect of the national consciousness of Ukraine, he stressed. The people who grew up on Soros textbooks supported the Maidan and began to build a nationalist state. All today's events stem from such ideological diversions of the West, which the peoples of Russia and Belarus have coped with, but which have become a disaster for Ukraine. And I've been reading into this other book by this other gentleman, Richard Salumbo, and he talks about the influence that Soros had in the Ukraine with the West when they were coming in there with all these NGOs, fam, as early as 1991. And this kind of backs it up what this gentleman said right over here. But the highlight of the day yesterday was your boy Ben Stiller, Zoolander. He tells Zelensky in Ukraine, there's these people, there's just, oh my God, you're my hero. You have the video, Oz? It's that link that's on the bottom of the page there.
Oh my God. So guys, Zoolander, it's funny. My friend would always say, there was like this fee steal look I had when I took a picture. Like it was like this look, like I gave like this sexual. She was like, "You always look sexual in pictures or something." Like, because I gave this like, I had smile and I had this like look, and so I always laugh at the Zoolander stuff because it's such a ridiculous movie. First of all, but somebody had commented on, because I shared this. I was like, "Oh, like Blue Steel takes on Ukraine," but that they. So I somebody was like, it's like the school of for Nazi supporters and whatever. Like it's like, like the Derek Zoolander, but the Zelensky school for like Nazi supporters and stuff. I mean, this is ridiculous. This just goes again, Hollywood, comedians, actors, right? And Zelensky is nothing but an actor. He's literally an actor, and this is what is the result of this. He's
a cokehead actor, and he's always had a lot of issues. He's an idiot. He's a piece of shit. So let's see these idiots. I mean, they just embarrass themselves. I mean, how Ben Stiller? Oh my God. Oh my God.
Really nice to meet you. Hello. Thanks for taking the time.
Very honor from you.
No.
We know you very well.
It's a great honor for me, and nice to see you. It's really wonderful. You're my hero. You're amazing. Yes. No. As you quit a great acting career for this.
Not so great as you.
Yeah.
No, but pretty great. But what you've done and the way that you've rallied the country and what for the world, it's really
for the world
inspiring. So
it's too much for me.
Hard to understand what is actually going on here if you haven't been here. We were talking about just the actual impact of coming here, and I just was in Irvine this morning, and
Where you?
Irving.
Irving.
Yeah, and
Good morning.
They're having like a love
So you
affair right
saw
now, dude.
Iversen.
Matado. Yeah, I mean, so the level of destruction. I mean, you see it on television. Exactly what you're saying. You see it on TV. You see it on social media, and you know, it's something else to actually.
You want to go? You want to get out of here?
Feel it.
The Commission recommends to
What you're doing for the world, fam. You're fighting for peace and democracy. Like literally.
If they could flirt any harder,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to be, I'm just saying, like, that was a little bit, I felt awkward. I felt like I was third wheeling there. Like, I'm like, the sexual tension between these two is like, oh my God, like, I don't know. And it's just like the amount of ass kissing by Ben Stiller, who admits he doesn't really know what's going on,
Yeah.
right? Oh, how do you admire, how is someone
You're my
your
hero. You're my
For
hero.
what? Why
don't know
is
what's
he
going
your
on.
hero?
But you're my hero. Because the producers told me if I say you're my hero, then I'm going to get a really sweet movie deal on Zoolander 2.
Oh God, who's gonna watch that? Can we not watch that? Can we please commit?
I'm not going to watch
watching that.
shit anymore. You're 86. That's it. That's it. Done.
It's like Meet the Fockers, the real Fockers.
Go fuck off. Asshole. That's it for today,
Like,
ladies
oh
and
my
gentlemen.
God.